Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
A once podcast turned show where Nick Paulus, Peter Tellep, and Kevin Arnold all talk Browns, Cavs, Indians, Buckeyes, and so much more that recently moved to Big Play Networks on social media. If you're answering what is Voice of the Land, you would be right. You would get 1,000 points on Jeopardy. And we do honor the memory, the life of Alex Trebek, who did pass away, unfortunately, from cancer today at the age of 80. An icon, a legend, a true inspiration to so many of us out there in the world. And we dedicate this episode to him. And I know that's not the easiest way to start a show. It is kind of a sad day, and 2020 has really sucked. But we are here. A guy like Alex Trebek, he did his job even after the cancer. And when he announced that, he was a true inspiration at that time as well. And he would want everybody to keep going with everything they're going after in life, everything that they are all about. So we do welcome you to another edition of the Voice of the Land here on Big Play Networks. Of course, I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold. Alongside me, as always, my brother, Nick Paulus, our producer extraordinaire behind the proverbial glass, Peter Tellep. We are also partnered with Web Streaming Studio by LPV Productions, and our sponsor for Voice of the Land is DP Construction LLC. Reach out to them for all your concrete construction needs, and you can reach out to them by phone at 330-217-4999. That's 330-217-4999. Tongue twister there, but get the information out there for them. Or you can find them on Facebook at DP Construction LLC. And you can always message Tyler LaFrada there or by email. And he has his email right there on the Facebook page to get a quote, and he will send Uncle Steve out to do that work for you. And they have beautiful pictures of all the work that they have done. So we thank them for sponsoring us here on Voice of the Land as well. Of course, you can always find us on social media. Twitter, Instagram at VTL_pod, Facebook at Voice of the Land, YouTube page at Voice of the Land Podcast. Of course, we stream live every single Sunday night at 7, even if the Browns are on a bye week. We're here. We're ready to go live. We're ready to talk sports with all of you. You can find us right there on our Twitter page, on the Big Play Facebook page, or their YouTube page at Big Play Live is their YouTube channel. Subscribe there. Or you can always find us on Sportscaster as well. Audio posted throughout the week. Google, Spotify, Apple. We say it every single week. And we always have the clips being posted out there on social media and YouTube. And as you may have saw there with the new graphics, thank you so much to Peter Tellep for those great new graphics. You can always reach out on Twitter with Paulus at CLE_Paulus, myself at Kevin7, because I always come through in the clutch when it matters most, and LPV Productions across all social media platforms. It is the Browns bye week, so it is time to give out some midseason awards. We are going to get into that here in just 1 second. We're also going to talk Buckeyes. Where are we at with them after 3 games? What are their chances now, seeing them actually on the field? What are their chances? Because we know they're going to be judged against what they do in the college football playoff. What type of team are they? Are they a number 1 contending type team in college football? We will get into all that. And at 7:40, we'll be joined by the guys getting the Cleveland Crunch, the indoor soccer team, back to the city of Cleveland. Really looking forward to that in 2021 and looking forward to having them on. And so we will have them on at 7:40. Eric Davis, the majority owner and president, as well as vice president, minority owner, and former teammate of mine, Luciano Ruscitto. And so we're really looking forward to that. But we are going to start Browns. Paulus has got his Brown shirt on. And before we get into kind of the midseason awards here, Paulus, where are you at with the Browns after having a week to digress, after kind of a failed opportunity last week against the Raiders? They do sit at 5-3, coming off the bye week. Of course, they had a staff member test positive for COVID today. Baker is kind of on that reserve COVID list where he came in close contact, but has not tested positive at this point. He could return to practice as long as he meets all the negative test requirements for that. So that could be a storyline going into next week's game. But where are you at with this team, and what do you still need to see more from them this year?
Yeah, 5-3. I mean, once again, we've talked about this before. I didn't expect 5-3 going into the break. I thought maybe 4-4 at, maybe 3-5. We had a couple of tough opponents. I didn't think that we were going to beat the Colts. I thought we were going to either beat or lose to the Colts, and then the Cowboys as well. We ended up beating both those teams. So that's why we are at now 5-3. I truly do believe that they are on the right path. Finally, we have something to look forward to. I was telling my wife, who so graciously came up here tonight, Kelly, I love you. But I was telling her, I was like, I got this weird sort of feeling today, and she's like, what is it? I was like, there's no Browns. Like, I'm normally like, right now I'm excited for them. Every year in the past, I'm like, oh, thank God the bye week's here. Like something that, old Browns, old Cleveland mentality. Thank God I don't have to watch them lose again today. I actually was intrigued. It's Sunday. I want to watch the Browns. And it is unfortunate whenever they weren't on a hot streak. They ended up losing to I almost said Oakland, to the Las Vegas Raiders today, last week. They did lose to them, but and that could have made them 6-2, which would have been awesome to see. I mean, we would be, whoa, like even more so, pumped up. But 5-3 is a solid start. It really is. Going into this next half, you have a lot of winnable games. You really do. You have 5 easier, opponents, and then you have the 3 tougher ones. You have the Titans, who didn't look that good today. I mean, they really didn't. They looked sloppy. Yeah. And then you have the Steelers, which, I mean, we were just seeing Big Ben got injured. His knee got all messed up, and they're trying to make a comeback against the Cowboys as we speak. So on their 4th string quarterback. Yeah. So
former practice squad guy,
Garrett Gilbert. Yeah. There we go. But
AAF legend.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then obviously the Ravens, who once again, they didn't look that good against the Colts today, but they ended up getting the win. And now I believe they're 6-2 on the year. So, solid start by them as well. But going into this bye week, I'm really thankful that we are where we are, because we control our destiny. If you pull off the same magic as what you did in this first half, you're going to the playoffs. 10-6 will get you in to the 7th seed, at least the 7th seed there for us. Now, what happens when you get to the playoffs, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. Just get me to the playoffs. First, honestly, get me a winning record. If you certify me a winning record, get me to 9 wins. I'm not going to say that's a win on the season, because I expect playoffs now that we are 5-3. But we've had some good play, and we've had a lot of injuries that people are starting to come back from. So, I kind of want to see where you're at with it, because, like I said, I'm excited. It feels weird that we don't have them today, because I was really coming in here, all pumped up, and, we're going to talk about the Browns at the bye week. And I'm like, man, I'd rather, talk about them, after a game, so
it's tough to talk Browns when there is no game. And honestly, I didn't even watch any NFL football today, because bye weeks, I don't like bye weeks, man. I really don't. Yeah. It's so tough. Like I have all my fantasy football teams, and I can be keeping track of what some of the players are doing, whatever games I may have access to through the different streaming services I have, but it doesn't have that same NFL Sunday doesn't have that same feeling when the Browns aren't playing. No matter how frustrated, how happy, what kind of emotions we're going through as Browns fans, the bye week always sucks, because you don't have Browns football to kind of be there to really get NFL Sunday going, and then you're really in that NFL mood. Then you start checking in on the other games. You watch maybe the 4 o'clock, the 8 o'clock, the Monday night game. Like, you're really into it. I don't get into it when it is a bye week. Now, I guess before I kind of give my thoughts on the Browns, I do want to mention that if you are watching on the Facebook page or our Twitter page right now, you can let us know what are your thoughts on the Browns. Who are maybe who is your MVP or most surprise or biggest surprise of the first half of the season? Kind of give some of your awards as well. And if you want to ask the guys from the Crunch later on a question, you can send those right now, or at 7:40 when we are talking to them, you can always send along some questions, and we'll see if we can get some of those to those guys as well. But I do want to turn things over to Peter real quick. Like, where are you? Because I know it's maybe not as big of a thing. It's Ohio State Indians for you is kind of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Those pecking orders. The Browns, where are you at?
I love the Browns, but there's just been so many years of, by this point of the season, it's like, well, hey, I got 3 hours back on my Sunday. So because it was so frustrating, because every season you go in with the high hopes that this is going to be the year they're going to turn it around, and maybe they lose the first one. Well, they usually lost the first one. They tie the first one, but you're hoping that it's going to, they're going to progress. You see those sparks of, hey, something looks like it might happen, and then the wheels fall off. And it was kind of weird because with the weather being just so beautiful today.
I know.
We're outside, and Jacob's like, this would be perfect weather for football.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it really would be. And so it was a little weird. I think the weather kind of helped because I didn't think about it so much.
Yeah.
If it was cold, rainy, snowy, I'd be sitting in the house going, oh man, I'd like to watch the Browns, just because I do love the Browns.
Yeah.
But today was tough because like I said, the weather helped, but I really want to see how they progress, because I feel like maybe they finally got the pieces there, and the fact that they're sitting where they are, it would have been nice if they were 6-2. But at 5-3, I'm as a Browns fan, I'm not going to complain.
I still have that empty feeling, honestly. I mean, now today, of course, 73 degrees outside, sunshine.
Gorgeous day.
I just right now in my head, all I can see is that GV artwork shirt where it has like that Monday through Saturday or Sunday through Saturday, the 7-day forecast, and it's goes through all the seasons. I mean, I think there was a day last week where I think we did go through all the seasons all at once. But in terms of the Browns, guys, I still have that empty feeling. I do, because you missed an opportunity last week, and you didn't show up at all. I understand that we are not in the Steelers or the Ravens league at this point. We are trying to build to that point. Get it, understand that. But in order to build to that point, and in order to really solidify a winning culture in Berea, you have to show up in those games. You have to show that you really are on the right track. Now, again, the Ravens game, first game of the year, all the stuff in the offseason, things like that, thinking that after you kind of built some momentum, that Steelers game at least should have looked a lot different for this team.
Yeah.
And they missed an opportunity last week. Yes, 5-3 is great, and I still like it. But there was a lot of people talking this week. Is it fair? Is it not fair for Browns fans to be upset about 5-3? I don't know if you would say upset. Like, upset to me is you're not there at all. Like you're just
pissed or something.
Yeah,
right.
you're just.
Yeah.
I'm not that.
Sure.
I'm just. It's a disappointment. It's an empty. There's just that empty feeling that I want to see more consistency and more competitiveness, because we know they're going to face some of these rougher teams, the teams that are lower on in there, and you can't take any of them lightly either, because once you don't want to be that any given Sunday for them.
No, of course.
But you need to somehow show that the stuff that you developed in the first 8 games, now that you are together and working and staying in meetings, staying in the film room, working yourself, figuring out what you need to do, what the team needs to do to continue to get better, finding a way to really, if you're going to make a playoff run, make it a meaningful playoff run and not just one where you just get doors blown off, one and done.
Well, I mean, if you face the Steelers or Kansas City, you're
going
looking at
to
doors getting blown off.
Yes.
Possibly.
Right.
I love you, Kevin. I do. And like, we're going to get into this about Ohio State. You and I had a little back and forth. We'll get into that down the road, there for us, on the pod tonight. But I love you because the way that you think, you are seriously coach coach.
I can't let it go, man. I can't.
Never let go of that coach mentality. And I love that about you because you see things differently. You see things completely differently from me. And I was a coach for a baseball team and like a football team, but it was for one season, not like you've done it multiple years. You grow up with these people, you develop them, you do everything with these kids, and they're your kids, and that's the way that I view you, as like looking at the Browns, that these are your kids, and you know what, I'm gonna pump them up. You are Kevin Stefanski. Okay, I am the fans. Okay, and that's what makes us great. With this whole show and pod, it makes us great because we see things completely differently, but at the same time, we agree on the same stuff. The way that you're looking at it, I think you're looking at it too harshly. You're looking at it from the way Kevin Stefanski absolutely needs to look at it. And that's why we love Kevin, because Kevin, he goes out there and he goes, you know what, like Baker, did he play well against Cincinnati? Yeah, he did. 21 straight completions, but there's a lot of room to improve. I'm over here, 21 straight completions, 5 touchdowns, whoa, going crazy. Yeah. And you're much more subdued whenever it comes to that, and that's a good thing.
Oh, but trust me, the people in my apartment building will tell you different.
That's fair. That's fair. But like whenever we get to this sort of thing, like we should be hyped. We should be not thankful, but we should be looking at 5-3 and going like, hell freaking yeah. Because that's something that, once again, we didn't expect. And I guarantee you, Kevin Stefanski, if you put the lasso of truth on him, would probably have said, I don't see us being 5-3, but we are. And like, that's the whole point of this thing, is that we are 5-3 and that we have an opportunity to realistically get to the playoffs and maybe even not have to worry about that week 17 game against the Steelers. Maybe, I'm assuming it's going to be a play-in game. I think you agree with that as well.
Yeah.
But that being said, like there might be a point in time where we just might actually end up with, beating the Ravens and not having to worry about that week 17. So we have a week, the week off and everything like that. Whatever, that's down the road. We don't want to talk about that. But it literally, boom, clicked in my head. I go, Kevin's the coach. Like, Kevin's the coach, I'm the fan. Like, it hit me because I'm looking at it from the same sort of lights that you are, and I'm like, I see it differently because I'm super pumped up about everything that's going on with this. I know that we got a bunch of awards to get into and everything like that, but
we'll get there in 1 second. You bring up a great analogy. I mean, that is kind of how I look at things, but I try to take, when I feel like I can start to trust coaching staff, front office, maybe for the first time since 99.
Yeah. First time in your life.
Yeah. The team is taking on the characteristics of the coach, and you hear that in press conferences, need to see more of that on the field. But I'm kind of, as a fan, I'm kind of taking that on too. Like, there is more out there. And the great thing about this is we're only halfway through the season, and you get that bye week at the halfway point, the exact halfway point.
And we needed it more than any other team, I think, in the league.
Yes. So because you've only been in the building together since the start of training camp, and you haven't been able to really hit anybody until the actual season started. So now you can really take that dig deep, look in the mirror. What are we doing well? What aren't we doing well? What can I do more for this team? What can we do more for these players to get the most out of them? That is a luxury and a half for this Browns team. And while they missed an opportunity last week to get a tiebreaker on another team that they're going to be probably fighting for that 7 seed with, or one of those last few seeds, wild card spots in this new extended NFL playoffs this season, they still have 8 more games to now be maybe 6-2, 7-1, like put a better resume out there, really build on what they're good at, and say, hey, that first 8 games, it is all part of the process, and now we are taking those steps to now not just be, borderline playoff team, but a playoff team that can make some noise so that we get that experience. And then by the next year, you really do start talking about those two words that we're not really allowed to say because they're supposed to say big game.
Right.
But you get what I mean. Like, that is the kind of NFL quicker process that it should take to get there. And if
this has been 20 years of futility, though.
Yes.
Like we have seen the depths
yes.
of hell. Yeah, we've been through the 7 layers of hell.
And it's been futility for the entire time I've been a Browns fan, but I'm not going to ever be anything different. And maybe coming at it from the coaching angle and being, as you say, a little bit harsher on them than some other people. And, I know fans are really excited about 5-3. I love 5-3.
Yeah.
It's just I see that there's more for this team. And that's what I want to see them kick the ground, kickstart it, get the ground running as soon as next week gets going and show that more that that you have, fans know that you have. Now let's start to see that more that you have now that you are really entwined and have that game film to go off of. Looking at some of the midseason awards, I'm not sure where you want to start. We can kind of go up to MVP, or we can start there. We can peak right away now.
Let's stay away from. Let's end with the MVP.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do that.
All right. So turn it over to you.
Sure.
Your first award for the midseason awards. Which way do you want to go first?
I want to go with most improved
Okay.
player.
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Yep.
See, this is why we're great together. Yes. I want to start off with most improved because I don't honestly I really want to start off with least, but I think
start on a positive note.
Exactly. Let's start off on a positive note. Most improved player to me, without a doubt in the world, is Wyatt Teller. There is no doubt in my mind. We got him for like a 6th or a 5th round draft pick. I mean, essentially stealing him from Buffalo. Buffalo has an already solid offensive line. They already knew what
that
they
luxury.
were doing.
Yeah,
exactly. So they could. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's just get that draft pick. Maybe we can get something better. Honestly, Wyatt Teller, whenever he was in here, was without a doubt the best right guard in the league, and he was fantastic. Especially those pulling blocks that we need, especially the wham blocks and everything like that we do so often with our running backs, the counters and everything like that. Wyatt Teller, no doubt in my mind, he was playing in I know Pro Football Focus was looking at it and they were saying that he was like the best right guard for a stretch of time. He was the best right guard in like a decade, the way that he was playing. So without a doubt, it's Wyatt Teller to me. I mean, there's a lot of other talent on this roster that I would like to see step up. Personally, I really want Higgins to start making more plays. I mean, he's starting to get more opportunities now that Odell is out.
Yes.
So I really want to see him step up and show me that he can do better than what he did his rookie year, which his rookie year was phenomenal. For a rookie year, it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
But without a doubt, once again, Wyatt Teller. How about you?
I'm going the same with you because
Wyatt?
as I just look across like the all 22 and even, special teams is tough because that unit, it's kind of those back end of the roster type guys.
Right.
Some starters are being filtered in there. Taki, Mac Wilson have asked Coach Mike Prefer to be a part of the special teams, things like that. But Wyatt Teller is kind of the only answer because either we've seen what we expect out of players or we haven't seen enough out of them.
That's
what
fair.
we expect out of them.
Yeah.
But Wyatt Teller, and even with him being out the last few weeks, Pro Football Focus, who is kind of that analytical stat line, he is still up there among the top 3 graded offensive linemen in the league, and yet he hasn't played for the last few weeks. So right there tells you Wyatt Teller.
Yeah. I really do think, once again, I think Wyatt Teller has just been a beast, and he's been a very big surprise here for us. He is going to be coming back here after this bye week. Also, a little inkling, I don't know if you saw it or not, I believe it was Bleacher Report, noted that Nick Chubb is on his way back, possibly coming back week 9 or week 10 here for us. So
I think it was Ian Rappaport of NFL Network may have had that, and it came through to Bleacher Report.
Yeah.
It's that usually anything that he says comes through to Bleacher Report, and then anything that Schefter says, that's when ESPN notifications come through faster than anything else. Usually ESPN is last.
Yeah.
Usually I know by now.
It does. Yeah, it happens like that a little too often there for that.
It's actually funny. The fantasy football alerts, especially that newer sleeper app.
Yeah.
those alerts come in before any Bleacher Report, ESPN, anything like that. Yeah. So I don't know.
People out there, there you go.
Got those inside sources to sleep with.
Absolutely. How about let's go least valuable player?
Wow, that's easy for me. 23.
I knew you
23.
were going to say it.
I mean,
I knew you were going to say it
because, and I know that they talk. Joe Woods, Stefanski. They talk about how he's a great communicator. He's that. I guess they want him to be that quarterback of the defense. He's calling out all the signals, calls out signals, and then ends up in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you're so focused on, what everybody else's assignment is. What was your assignment on that play? It looks like you didn't really adhere to that assignment, and I just see him like diving all over the field, and yet it's like one of those. I don't know if you have ever seen in a baseball game where a guy like dives for a catch, but it doesn't need to be a dive or that type of thing. Like it's that kind of dive because the guy's already passed him. He's just making it look good, like he's giving an effort.
Yeah.
He like feels the camera on him, and he's got to make it look like, oh man, I almost had him.
Yeah.
The guy's gone, and you just see this guy like in the slow motion replay. It's the close up of the person making the play on the other team, and you just see number 23 just slowly, like after he's already made the play, now he's diving.
Yeah.
As if there's someone else he needs to tackle.
Right. Yeah. No, he looks like he gets sniped.
Yeah.
Like that. Just like that. Right before he's supposed to hit anyone. No, I don't want to agree with you. It's the obvious choice.
Yes.
Number 23 is absolutely the obvious choice. I am going to go a little different route, though, just to try and be a little bit different. I want to say Njoku. I'm not going to because he should be so much more than what he is.
Yes.
And like, that's the point. I mean, we picked up his 5th-year option. We're giving him, the money. So like he knows that he's safe, and I'm not saying he's playing like he knows he's safe.
Right.
But I'm saying like, he's not giving me enough.
I would describe it as him playing to what we have now come to expect out of him. While we know that there's more he can give,
I've seen it.
That he could be.
I've done seen it. I know it's there.
He's just playing to what we expect now.
100%. I mean, he's a 3rd-string tight end.
Yes.
Where I'm going, though, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit because this is a contract year for the guy.
I already know where you...
Tell me.
Jarvis?
No.
Oh, wow.
No. I'm never going to hate on Jarvis.
Okay.
Jarvis, bless him, can basically do no wrong because I've seen that dude do things that, like, he is the coach.
Toughest dude on the team.
Toughest dude on the team. B, he is the coach on the field.
Okay.
So, like, no doubt in my mind. I got
a little scared with the way you were opening that.
I will never knock Jarvis. What I will knock, though, is Larry Ogunjobi. Larry Ogunjobi, I'm telling you right now, I don't see any freaking pressure from anyone on that. On that defensive line. Sheldon Richardson has like 2.5 sacks, and like his last one was like, I think it was like week 3. He might have had one more recently, but there was a stretch where it was literally only Miles doing anything on that defensive line. Yeah. And now that Miles is hurt or, coming off of a knee injury or ankle or whatever the hell he has, I expected so much more out of Larry Ogunjobi this year. I really thought if we have them all healthy, we're going to be set. And this is going to be a dominating sort of defensive line and we'll be solid. He has 0 sacks on the year and he has 4 tackles for loss. That's it. Mm-hmm. And he's in the mix. He's been in 7 games so far this year. And I don't see enough from him. Yeah. I need to see more. I expect so much more out of Larry Ogunjobi because whenever his rookie year was great. I mean, he was solid his rookie year. A lot of people were like, "Oh, he might be the next up and coming." I don't want to say Warren Sapp. He's not. No means was anyone ever saying that. Statement. No one was ever saying that. But what I'm saying is he's the next up and coming, really good defensive tackle, and he hasn't shown it. He has not provided any proof whatsoever this year. Very disappointing. So I'm going to say Larry Ogunjobi.
Workout fiend without any of the production on the field.
100%,
Again, it's one of those. It's part of that whole thing that we talked about leading up to the season. It's people saying the right things and maybe doing the right things off the field to show that they're actually invested in getting things right.
Yep.
But you got to put the film work in and you got to produce on the field or else not for long, NFL, you won't be there.
Right. Who we going with next? Are we going biggest surprise?
We can go biggest surprise, and we'll finish up with MVP. Perfect. So biggest surprise, I'll turn it over to you.
Biggest surprise. Miles has been unbelievable, but that's what you expect out of a number one pick, $125 million guy. Baker, he hasn't really produced as much as what I was hoping for. There's really no one on like the wide receiver output that has done anything. Honestly, the biggest surprise for me, as I'm just rambling on here, probably Harrison Bryant. I really thought, you and I talked about this at the beginning of the year, that I thought, we both thought Harrison Bryant, he was an Mackey Award winner in college. He was really good, in college. So we sort of expected him to, be on an upward trajectory, but playing tight end in the NFL takes a couple years. You see some of the greats and they don't just jump right from the start. You see someone like George Kittle. He is more of a subdued rookie year. Antonio Gates, another sort of guy. It takes him a while. It takes him like a year to get, acclimated to the NFL setting, and then boom, then they take off. Harrison Bryant, I'm not saying he's on a Hall of Fame pace, nothing like that, but I'm telling you, he's a dude. Yeah. He is a dude that you can count on here in the future. He's what I expected Njoku to be doing. And we got him for what, like a third or a fourth round?
Fourth round.
So I think most impressive, biggest surprise, I'm going to go with Harrison Bryant. He's been really solid, coming up clutch, the last couple of games here for us. He did have the fumble, in Oakland,
that was
God, against Vegas. So that does bother me a little bit, but for the most part, the dude catches TDs, from the tight end position, and he's been fantastic.
Catching TDs from the TE position, right?
There we go. See? A little tongue twister action there for us.
Words are hard, but so fun. We talk about that all the time.
So fun.
That is a good surprise, and probably one I would go with as well. For my biggest surprise, I'm going to kind of go with an unsung hero a little bit, but, I didn't know what to expect to this guy when we first traded for him.
Yeah.
I know everybody was excited, but Ronnie Harrison has been...
He's solid. Yeah,
he's been a bigger
really
surprise.
Solid.
Excuse me.
Whoa.
He's talking to a mic for so long, the mouth gets dry and stuff like
there
that.
There goes.
But Ronnie Harrison has been a bigger surprise for me because it just, you see him flash out there, and that's the kind of safety that you want, and you want a guy to go alongside. The problem is that there is no yin and yang out there. There's no back and forth of the safeties kind of being able to, and yes, I know one plays free safety, one plays strong safety, will come down in the box, but you got to have some of that versatility, especially in a lot of the defenses now that are using mixtures of 4-3, 3-4 fronts, disguising coverages, being able to play multiple looks against great quarterbacks in this league. The only way to really play defense, and there's not a lot of defense in the NFL, but the teams that do just enough, those are the teams that compete for the big game.
Yeah.
So, Ronnie Harrison would be one for me to add to that list if I wasn't to just agree with you and go Harrison Bryant, because that has been a huge surprise for him to be so productive so quickly in a year that he didn't get a chance to do rookie minicamp, OTAs, that kind of stuff, that kind of off-season workout. It's been so much more unique for this rookie class, but I guess they don't know any different. So he's been able to have that. Harrison's been able to have that success, and then Ronnie Harrison out there, someone that I want to see, get a little bit more responsibility out there on the defensive side. So we'll finish it off now. We've gone to the peak. MVP, most valuable player of the season. It's got to be Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I was going to say. Is there anything else that you want to say other than Myles? Because I really don't know any other ones.
No,
Myles
Chubb would have been the one if he was healthy. I think he would be competing with Garrett to be the most valuable player of this. He's the most valuable player on that offense that they're missing the most.
Yeah, through 8 games he has 9 sacks.
Yes, so it's Garrett all the way.
And not only does he get the sacks, because sacks are a weird number, okay? Because you can get a ton of sacks and still, you lose by 40. There's been players out there that get you a lot, but it's turning the ball over.
Yes.
And the way he strip sacks people, that's the biggest thing.
While he's getting held too.
Every single day I see him get held so much, and like people, hitting him in the face mask, whatever. It doesn't matter. He goes straight through everyone. That's why, like, I can't wait to see who we draft. Like, I'm telling you, whatever our first round draft pick is, you go and get that best, defensive line guy. You go get me a pass rusher that you can match up with Miles. Whatever you have to do, Browns, go and do that, because that is what we need more than anything else in this world. I think that's what we need. Miles obviously is the clear-cut favorite there for us. Do you have a secondary person? Because I do personally.
I really don't. I mean, I would. Another unsung hero has been, while he has had some unfortunate and uncharacteristic drops.
Yep.
Jarvis being that, we always talked about how when he was first here, when we didn't have OBJ, Jarvis was a number one who's really a number two wide receiver.
Yeah.
But he's number one in terms of the leader of trying to get this culture going, and he's not just Baker, but I bet Jarvis is a big voice in that locker room to be an extension of what Stefanski is trying to get this team to be, and what type of consistent contending team Stefanski wants them to be.
My secondary guy, and like, he got a lot of flack over the last game or two, from once again, I was going back and forth, and nothing against Chris Theodore, I mean, fantastic columnist, he's great, he truly is, but he was given a lot of crap to Kareem Hunt. He was calling him he was a disappointment.
Yeah,
since
I saw that.
Chubb was out.
I saw that.
The guy leads us in total yards and touchdowns. Like, he has 4 receiving touchdowns. He leads our team in not only total touchdowns, but receiving touchdowns, and he has 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean, I don't know what much more he can do. I mean, he has, like, I think 600 yards of total offense, over that. And, I mean, he's been a solid addition, even without Chubb there. I think once Chubb gets back, he's going to, get reduced, rolled again, but he's fresher that way. And, like, we are a better team whenever we have that dynamic duo in the backfield. Clearly, obviously. That's a dumb statement just to be like, oh, we got Nick Chubb, I think we're a better team. That's an obvious thing. But I'm very much looking forward to the next 8 games having those guys back, because Thunder and Lightning, getting those guys back, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and they complement each other so well, and they allow for each to work off one another. The reason why Kareem Hunt doesn't look like he hasn't been able to pick up too much of the slack for Nick Chubb is because now people are gearing their defense, their rush defense, to the one guy they got to worry about. Dearness Johnson and Dontrell Hilliard aren't, if they come in to spell Hunt, they're not, they don't pose that kind of issue with the defense, or that kind of concern from the defense on the other side, that when you're bringing Hunt and Chubb, you don't know which one you're going to have to defend, and when both are in on the same play, where is that ball going? That just makes each one that much more dangerous. Now, I think maybe Chubb would look on the surface a little bit better than Hunt. Of course, Hunt has given a lot and has been producing a lot for the Browns. I'm not agreeing with what Fedor says, but I see just the on the surface eye test kind of little snippet of where that conversation is coming from. I understand where it's coming from. I think that Chubb's production would be similar, probably a little bit more, and you would get that eye test a little bit more. So it just kind of proves that he's doing that. But Hunt has been miraculous for this team. And when Chubb comes back, if Chubb's fully healthy, fresh legs with your power back that can also break away, block for Baker, still catch out of the backfield, those types of things, I mean, then you can really use Hunt the way that you designed and wanted to develop that other running back spot.
Quick prediction before we have the guys from the Crunch jumping on with us. I know you hate playing the schedule game. I'm not going to tell you to go, tell me the next 8 games or anything like that. But I want to know, does this team make the playoffs?
Yes, and they should make the playoffs.
Okay, and I am 100% with you. I think that this team is good enough to make it, especially whenever we get Teller back, Chubb back, a couple other guys back. I think that we are going to be good enough to make the playoffs, and we should make the playoffs, at least the 7th seed for sure.
Yeah, and as we do wait for the guys from the Crunch to come on here, did have one comment in the Facebook page just to get out there. Brett Gillen, a former co-host of mine when we were at OMS for the Artifact show, he said that Higgins works best in the slot or fade routes, also has the ability to extend the play to be open for Baker, and that's what they're going to need. In order to make the playoffs, they're going to need these wide receivers to step up. We'll continue that conversation as we close out on the other side and get into some Buckeyes if we have some time, but we do want to welcome on right now from the Cleveland Crunch, the president and majority owner, Eric Davis, as well as minority owner and vice president of operations, and a former teammate of mine, a fellow Blue Devil alumni, Luciano Ruscitto. Guys, how we doing this evening?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having us this evening. We're doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. Really looking forward to talking about you guys getting the Cleveland Crunch back going. I know that as a soccer fan myself, it was so huge, and one of my best memories was going to Cleveland Crunch soccer camps and, of course, going to the games at the Convocation Center down on CSU's campus when it wasn't the Wolstein Center. It was the Convocation Center, and watching guys like Hector Marinero, Otto Orff, and all those guys having a lot of success in indoor soccer. Now, I know you guys were teammates at Lake Erie. Where did this conversation kind of start? Did it start back in those playing days to get this back going again? Or take us back to how the conversation of getting the Cleveland Crunch back in town really got going?
So before I hop into the story, I just want to give a shout out to my soccer brother, Tino Panich, passed away earlier in the week on an unfortunate car accident. So just wanted to give him a shout out, and I'm still thinking about you, brother. Thinking about all my men and friends. It's been a tough week. So
true condolences out to you and his family and all their friends and stuff. Tragic, and we can only send our thoughts and well wishes out to the family and you guys as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, the idea kind of just stemmed from when I moved to Lakewood earlier this year, back in May. I was just unpacking some clothes, getting my apartment set up, and I came across my Crunch and my Force shirt. So I just hung them up side by side, took a picture, and posted it on my Instagram as a poll on my story. And I just posed the question, if it was up to you, which professional indoor soccer team would you bring back to Cleveland? The Crunch or the Force? And 79% of the votes favored to the Crunch. Obviously, I mean, the legacy holds that they won those championships with the well-recognized names. So from there, Luciano just reached out to me the same day, and we just kind of started talking about, if there's an opportunity to bring this club back. And from there, we just started linking up more, doing our research, found out the trademark was available. So that was huge from the legal standpoint. So we started just a rebranding process, got the things trademarked, got the business set up. And then from there, we started talking with owners around the league, just gathering information, just figuring out what we need to do on our end to make this dream a reality, right? So we did that, and then from there it just kind of unraveled into getting a group of 10 of us as a team in place. And so since that time, it's been a quick 5 to 6 months just getting things unraveled from the business side.
And Lucci, I mean, I've seen the Instagram posts and everything like that with you guys reconnecting with Cleveland legends like Hector Marinero and Otto Orff. What kind of role do they have in this process to get the Crunch going, and how is that connection built, and how is that growing over time right now?
I mean, Hector serves as a pretty big advisor to the organization. We talk with him frequently. He definitely is working hard behind the scenes. Otto, Zoran Karic, Tony Dore, just a few other former members of the Crunch that we work closely with. Ever since we've been able to connect with them, and they've jumped on board to help us get where we need to be. The organization, the relaunch, it's sort of taken off. So, I mean, they definitely still have those connections in Cleveland of indoor soccer and just indoor soccer in general, professional soccer, in this area. So No doubt. I mean, they're definitely working with us, like I said, behind the scenes, and yeah, it's been a pretty positive impact since they've joined.
Yeah, just to add to that, like we knew coming into this that they were going to be an integral piece to making this happen because those were the guys who lived it, they breathed it, slept it. You know, they live that day to day. They understand the routine in the league, how to operate. So it's huge for us to have those guys in our corner. You know, just to help us not only from the business side but from the player side as well. And evaluating talent as we move closer to tryouts. So we knew coming into this that we needed their support to be in our corner. It's a huge part of our marketing.
For me, guys, I just want to know, like, who were some of your guys' like idols growing up, for soccer, and who did you guys really look up to, and who was your favorite crunch back in the day?
So kind of piggyback off what Kevin said earlier about attending those crunch camps and the forest camps. I used to play goalie back in the day when I was little, so I really loved Otto Orff. He was my favorite player for sure. Zoran, Hector, I mean, those guys scoring the goals, making the excitement happen. So pretty much every, you know, well-known player that went through the crunch, I mean, definitely brought me joy in my younger years and influenced my love of the game today.
And to piggy off that, I mean, in my playing career, I've played like mid forward, so I've always liked to model that off of Hector Marinero. I mean, the Michael Jordan of indoor soccer, if we had to be completely honest. Right? So somebody I wanted to definitely model my game off of, and he obviously made a huge impact in my youth, just seeing his tremendous success and made me determined to just become a better soccer player growing up through my youth. So definitely looked up to all those guys.
And guys, we do have someone tuning in from Buffalo, New York. Adam Huzzle is telling you guys congrats on getting indoor soccer back going again, and hope that Buffalo can do the same and renew that rivalry that Cleveland and Buffalo once had. They wanted to launch they did launch a Buffalo Blizzard Facebook group in July, and are connecting with a lot of the former players and fans. So it's kind of cool to see indoor soccer, especially in the 90s and the early 2000s, was huge. And this the Cleveland Crunch were an organization that were built on having success, and they were competing for championships every single year. They may not have gotten there. I know that they won 3 in the NPSL, I believe it was, but definitely championship pedigree there. What are your guys' goals to get it back to that? And in terms of, we know that fans aren't really in the stands right now, but as this continues to grow, it was such a great family atmosphere as well. What are you guys looking at in terms of that to give it the atmosphere to the fans, but also put that championship caliber product back on the field?
Well, I mean, we know that there's a big pool of talent that exists here in Northeast Ohio. A lot of good soccer players in this area. So building talent from a tryout standpoint, former players that we have played with, just connections that we have made. We've had a lot of people reaching out to us too. So I think building talent, building a squad with talented players, I should say, is not going to be, that big of an issue. I think that we could definitely get to the championship caliber that you guys are referring to that they had in the 90s. And in terms of creating that environment for fans, I mean, like Eric and I have said multiple times, when we're little, we didn't really remember the score of the game. I mean, I have all that memorabilia. I mean, I have a picture, autograph, bobbleheads. I mean, they could have lost 20-0 for all I remember, but I remember the positive experience that I had at that game. So definitely a lot of fan engagement, a lot of players interacting with kids, autographs, meet the team events. Every downtime we have in the arena is going to be dedicated to some sort of fan engagement opportunity to just really make this an entertainment experience versus just strictly watching a sporting event.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that is awesome. And I agree with that. I mean, going back, I mean, whenever you're a kid, you don't really realize the score of the game. It's all about having fun. I mean, now that we're adults, we're all like, oh man, I can't believe the Browns lost that game. But like going back in the day, whenever you're a kid, it's all about those family events, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, and of course, back then you've seen it all the way through. All Cleveland teams and the Crunch were at the forefront of it, having great family entertainment and allowing kids to have those memories like all of us did. And I mean, I still have, before it was even cool, I still have a Cleveland Crunch red Vuvuzela in my room that I have held on to. And yes, there's a lot of stuff in boxes and memorabilia in boxes, but that's one thing that I hold near and dear to my heart because it was a great experience at that game, spending time with family and enjoying a sport that, you know, nobody in my family really played, and it was a great time there. And you guys mentioned the tryouts coming up, I believe, December 12th and 13th. Let people know how they can get involved if they want to try out and get involved actually playing for the Cleveland Crunch.
So our tryout dates are set for December 12th and 13th, which is a Saturday, Sunday next month, from 12 to 2 in the afternoon. You can find registration for tryouts on our website, www.theclevelandcrunch.com. And then if you click on the tryouts tab, it'll direct you to our Eventbrite page. So that's the the way to get registered for our tryout dates set for December 12th and 13th.
And I know that the team team gear has just started to release on the website as well. Is that correct?
Yep. Team Shop just released last Friday night, I should say. And yeah, up and running. Again, you can find that through our website on the Team Store tab.
And a lot of great gear already out there, and I know that there's a lot of excitement brewing in town for that. Just want to get you guys out of here kind of on a more broad soccer conversation because Paulus isn't the biggest soccer guy, neither is Peter, but Lucci, you know,
I grew up watching another football.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I understand. But Lucci, you know about, you know, we've been together, we've been in the trenches together playing out there, and of course, all three of us getting out there and coaching and helping the youth enjoy the game that we all love as well. Now we see it on a more national level. How can the United States, even outdoor soccer in this conversation, we see a lot of the young players, Christian Pulisic at Chelsea, Weston McKennie at Juventus, and names are going on and on. I know that Gio Reyna over at Dortmund in the Bundesliga in Germany. The men's team seems to be picking up some young talent, but it has been an issue, it seems, to develop on the world stage. The women have been at the forefront of that. They are the pinnacle for that. What does it take to get both the men and the women's programs here in the U.S. to be continuously competing on the world stage and generating more intrigue in the sport of soccer here in America? What is that going to take?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's actually a question that I came across earlier in this year, just from watching an interview on TV. Alexi Lalas, a former national player, was on Fox Indoor Soccer. It's just a live soccer show on Fox Sports. And they had Landon Donovan on at the time. He accepted his head coaching position with the San Diego Loyal, which is a USL Championship division team. So he was asked by Alexi Lalas asked Landon Donovan and goes, you know, what does America need to do to develop soccer talent in the United States? Because obviously to the Germanys of the world, the Englands and the Italys of the world, we are sufficiently behind when it comes to developing the youth. And Landon Donovan's answer was quick, short, and simple. He just said, we just need to do a better job really honing in on the youth talent and developing them the right way like these other countries do. And that spoke to me because that led me to taking a coaching position with the U10 boys team out of Geauga Federation Soccer Club, and had a very successful season. And those kids made an impact on me, I think, more than I made on them. Currently doing some personal training sessions with them since the off season has taken place. So that's really where it needs to start, is getting these kids exposed to developing the right way, not just going out and kicking shots on goal to warm up, really focusing on their foot skills, the tactics, the technical side of and strategy of, you know, where they play, how they play, and just getting them brought up to speed. I mean, you can just see it today in like the high school soccer world, like it's very underdeveloped. So to have this opportunity to really work with the youth and develop those foundational skills, I think is absolutely vital if we want to compete at a high level from a U.S. men's, U.S. women's national pool of talent. Not making the World Cup 2 years ago, I mean, in the United States, that's not acceptable. So it really shows that from the reflection of that we need to really start focusing on not when they're 12 or 13 or 14 years old, more like that 7, 8, 9 years old stage where before they reach that adolescence, they're already learning how to function with their feet. They're learning the coordination, they're learning the balance, the agility. So just those crucial development techniques is really something that needs to be, I think, pushed at a younger age so they can develop that much more as they continue to grow into those high school years.
And Lucci, I know that you see it coaching as well, coaching over at Menor High School as well. I mean, it's more difficult probably, and agree to disagree with me if you want, but I always feel like it is more difficult to try to go back to the basics once you get them in that realm of that, what Eric is talking about, that 12, 13, 14-year-old range, instead of getting them young and helping them develop whether they decide to play high school or keep going on the club track. How do you see that kind of going where you're coaching at, Lucci?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It goes back to what Eric said. You got to build good habits early. You got to build good training habits, just good attitude towards the game. You got to develop a winner at a young age, and it's definitely hard to go back after, a player reaches a certain age. It's just hard with any sport. And it's another problem that we have with the development of youth soccer in the United States. It's not often taken seriously from a young age. Most kids just play rec. Club coaching is really expensive. So it just goes back to, you have to do it at a young age, and you have to develop good habits, and you have to teach players how to become a winner, and teach players how to learn from their losses per se, and just get better every single day. And a lot of kids in a lot of sports, I think, struggle with that today.
And I mean, you guys are hitting the nail right in the head. I mean, this is why I wanted to have this conversation to kind of close this out as well, because I knew you guys felt as passionate as I do about it. And, kind of seeing even in our community, Lucci, where we grew up, being able to develop a travel league a few years back, and then those players developing from there into being asked instead of going out and trying out, being asked to come look at playing with the club teams in the area, with the Croatia Juniors and Cleveland Select, and then, of course, moving up to possibly being looked at for U.S. developmental type teams. That's the kind of development starting from, when I started coaching, the one group I had, 7, 8, 9, then they were able to develop that way, and now they're having a huge impact already as freshmen in high school, and kind of instilling that actual soccer culture there that is so big. And Eric, you said it best. Coaching really it's so rewarding because you learn so much more from these kids than they learn from you, honestly.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, just the kids that I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to coach are just already at that level where they're passionate about the game, but they just need to critique some things or things that they're looking to improve upon. And it's just a blessing up an opportunity to be able to share with my knowledge and the coaching that I was given growing up, and just to give it back to the youth. There's no better feeling. And just because we're not an MLS market like the Columbuses and the Cincinnatis, I mean, Cleveland, like Lucci already said earlier in the show, I mean, this is a huge untapped market, not just from a professional standpoint. There's a lot of hidden talent here in Cleveland. Just because we don't have a professional team to represent our city doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for these players to continue to develop and reach the goals that they want to reach. So it's just a blessing to be able to share the knowledge that I have and to continue to pass it on down to the younger generations.
And it's a pleasure to have that conversation be out there for other people to see and hear, whether they're big soccer fans or not, that soccer is a great sport and can provide so many opportunities to the youth, and definitely something we want to see build more and more in America. Before we let you guys go, just one more time, let everybody know when they can expect Crunch Soccer to come back. I know the plan is 2021 at some point to start the season, and also where they can find you guys, social media, website, and just last little kind of refresher on those tryouts coming up in December.
All right, so Yeah, we're the timeline to join the league is November of 2021. We plan to do several home exhibition games next year, as well as a few away exhibition games next year, some inter-squad scrimmages as well. You could find us on Instagram at Cleveland Crunch, on Twitter at crunchtime__ Cle, and on Facebook, just the Cleveland Crunch, and our website is www.theclevelandcrunch.com.
And I know that those tryouts coming up on December 12th and 13th. Where are those tryouts going to be held again there, guys?
So the tryouts will be held at the Soccer Sportsplex out in North Olmsted.
Oh, that's a great facility out there in North Olmsted. I've been out there, played, coached out there. Who knows? Maybe you'll see these old bones give it a go.
Shot.
You know.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Hey, you got to send a red vuvuzela picture to Luciano so I can get a glimpse of him. I'm curious.
I will make sure to send it along. Eric, Lucci, it has been a pleasure speaking with you guys, and you guys have all the support here at Voice of the Land. And any progress you guys are making, anything you guys need to come on and promote to get that word out there, we are here. We are going to be supporting the Crunch for sure. And so keep building that connection as well. And anything you guys need, we're always here. And so glad to have indoor soccer coming back. We appreciate you guys coming on this evening.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you guys for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Eric Davis and Luciano Ruscitto, the president and vice president of the upcoming 1 year away Cleveland return of indoor soccer and the Cleveland Crunch to the city of Cleveland, to the land. Again, great memories there. I'm going to have to find that vuvuzela. I'm going to have to, I know I have that in the closet. I'm going to have to find that and send that picture once I get home. Guys, I know that soccer isn't big here in America, but I wanted to have other people kind of have that conversation too, that it's not just for soccer, it's other sports. That if kids are really interested in it, you got to start them young and teach them right. Because now you see even in football, some of this, these safeties kind of launching at you. It's not really wrapping up. They're trying to knock the ball out. They're just trying to knock you off your feet, trying to hit you as fast and as hard as they can.
Yeah.
And you hear the color commentators talking about it all the time. I heard it in the Ohio State game last night. Got to wrap up. You got to form tackle to get guys to the ground. You can't always expect you're going to rip the ball out no matter what the talent discrepancy is. You cannot just do that. So at a younger age, teaching them the skills, the little nuances of the sport so that they actually grow and get to the point that maybe they're interested in. If they find something else they're interested too, coaches, I know those guys and myself and anybody else who's coached in the past, the other goal is to give life lessons, life skills to these kids too, because if they play for me 1 year and they decide soccer's not for them, but they learn something from me.
Sure.
As much as I learn from them, they learn one thing from me that they can take into whatever they're passionate about in life. That is the biggest and most important thing, and coaches love to see that kind of thing. But now I know that we had a little bit of a longer conversation with those guys. Yeah. A great conversation with the Crunch tonight. So make sure you guys check them out all across social media and their website, theclevelandcrunch.com, and of course, like I said, all across social media. And if you are someone that was a big fan of the Crunch, you still have that inkling to get out there on the field, like I kind of do, get off the sideline for a minute. We'll see. But if you have that inkling, get out to that Sportsplex in North Olmsted, December 12th and 13th from 12 to 2 p.m. They have tryouts that you could be a part of the reincarnation of the Cleveland Crunch. I know we didn't get a chance to have our Buckeye conversation today.
We got I think we can do 5 minutes.
You want to do 5 minutes?
Yeah, let's do a rapid five.
Rapid five. So Paulus and I were, just to kind of take everybody back, we were having a little bit of a spat or a Twitter conversation last night that stemmed from the Ohio State game. Of course, they did beat the Rutgers right. Scarlet Knights, I think they're called, or something like that.
Yes.
They beat them 49-27. Of course, Justin Fields looks like he is that number 2 pushing for that number 1.
13 total touchdowns.
11
interceptions would be a lot. 11 incompletions.
Yeah, that ball
unreal.
The ball is not hitting the turf a lot.
Yeah.
defense and some other areas, offensive line, are a little suspect. But Paulus, I'll turn it over to you. What are you seeing with this Ohio State team? Are they a legit national title contending team or national title team this season?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. This Ohio State team is just bored. I mean, they got bored last night. I was cutting up the highlights, the post-game clips from Ryan Day's press conference, and a lot of these players' press conferences, Justin Fields, Justin Hillier, a lot of people, Ryan Day said it perfectly, though. There comes a moment in time, and like he even said, he's like, this is not an excuse, this is a fact. It was 9:00 at night, you're up 35-3, there's no one in the stands. You got to make your own energy. And that's an issue that they've never had to deal with ever. If it's 35-3 at the shoe, everyone's going crazy. In a typical year, everyone's going crazy. There's nobody but family and the other team's family there. That is it. So 200 fans in the stands. This isn't Notre Dame. They're not rushing the field. We're not even going to get into that. I can't wait until the number 2 team has to take off a week because their entire team got COVID.
Yeah, that's a hotbed too.
And it's exactly what's going to happen. We all know it. It's going to happen. Whatever. That being said, there is no doubt in my mind this Ohio State team, they're just bored right now. At a certain point in time, Justin Fields even came out and said it last night. He was like, I didn't expect to be in the game that long. And it's because they prolonged it. The defense, they just didn't wrap up. And like that, if you want to look at anything as a weakness of this team, I think it's the mental output of the COVID season. I think if you told them, hey, you got Bama in a week, I guarantee you they go, you know what? We're good. We're 100%. I'd put all my money on that game for Ohio State to win that game. There's not a doubt in my mind. This team, led by that dude at quarterback, Justin Fields, just already gave out the stats. He's like 90% on the year, completions. He's that dude. There is no doubt in my mind this team can beat any team in the nation. Not only do they have the talent to do it, but they have the right coach and they have the right quarterback. And that's how you win in college football.
Peter, any pause for concern with the Ohio State University Buckeye football team?
I would like to see the defense be a little sharper.
Sure.
I think there are a few. I'm trying to think back to it. It felt like a lot of loose coverage, in the secondary.
Sure.
But, the thing is with Justin Fields leading that team, the defense can give up some points because they're going to take them right back. Yeah. And so
we also have to understand it's Rutgers. I mean, they're not playing Penn State like they did last week.
Oh, yeah.
And Penn State's wide receiver got a little hot.
Well, and the thing is, and I think you brought up a great point. It was 9:00 at night. The stadium is pretty much empty. I've been there when it's full, and when it's crazy. I was there when Maurice Clarett brought them back against Washington State.
Oh, nice.
They were down at halftime.
Yeah,
and they came right back, and that was his breakout game of that season. And I was fortunate enough to be there.
Nice.
And the atmosphere. If people out there listening have never had a chance to go to an Ohio State game, go to an Ohio State game
when it's available.
When you can,
when it happens again.
When we can have 500,000 people, outside the stadium before the game. It's an insane atmosphere, and it is weird. It's weird watching the games with the piped in, crowd noise. The really weird part of that is when the teams do something wrong and it's still cheering because they don't have
they don't have the booze.
They didn't record the booze, So, but yeah, I think they can take on, and I think they can beat anyone in the nation.
Yeah.
Now listen,
Ohio. Here comes Kev, Coach Kev. Here we go.
Ohio State. Listen, you are a national title contending team. You are a top 3, if not a top 2 team in the country, talent-wise, coach-wise, quarterback-wise, wide receiver wise, and even the talent on defense, offensive line, everywhere. If you get bored in a game, I understand there's no fans in the stands. Guess what? Bad habits start to take hold of your team, and that's where we see the losses to teams like Purdue or Iowa when they're bad, or Michigan State when they're bad, because you have had these bad habits now become a trend for your team. The offensive line, people have said that by the end of the season, they're going to be the number one offensive line in the country. I have yet to see barely any evidence of that, and especially last night. I know Master Teague went off for over 100 yards last week, but that running game, while you have the wide receivers, you have those dudes at wide receiver at Ohio State, and you have that dude at quarterback, and you're going to be slinging it around a lot. You need to establish the run, because if you cannot have complementary football, if you are Ohio State playing in the Big Ten and you cannot establish, even if it's running back by committee, I know that we have been, over the last several years, we have been spoiled by that dude at running back at Ohio State. I could go down the list. There's several guys to go down the list of. You know who I'm talking about. If you have to do it running back by committee, do it running back by committee, but you need to get that running game established. And while Ohio State was up big in that game, you should not ever, 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 no matter the circumstance, you are the Ohio State University, give any team any semblance of breathing room or anything like that, especially a team like Rutgers. Yes, I know they're better than in the past, but if you're up 35-3 and you put the stomp down and you don't let them feel anything, you make sure you squeeze all the football life out of them, out of Ohio Stadium, so that the only life left is out of those in scarlet and gray with the Buckeye leaves on your helmets. You make sure they remember the day, the night, the game, every single time that they play Ohio State, and you build that winning culture so that the national title contention matriculates into an actual national championship, and we don't lose in the semifinals again.
Come here, folks. We're averaging 200 yards rushing a game.
Doesn't look like it. And that offensive line has too many penalties yesterday.
We're averaging
too many mistakes.
5 yards a carry, Kevin.
This isn't the Browns.
We have 900.
There is a higher standard at Ohio State.
Kevin. We have 900 passing yards. We have 626 rushing yards through 3 games. Our opponents have been dog doo-doo, okay? They have played down to their opponents. Do I agree with you that is that a issue? Yes. Can it be fixed? Absolutely. Do you know how that can be fixed? Tell the team you're playing Bama. Tell the team you're playing Wisconsin. Tell the team you're playing Clemson, Notre Dame, hell, Florida. You tell that team, you tell Ryan Day, hey, Ryan Day, go tell that team. Go tell your quarterback, hey, we're going to need 300 from you tonight. Hey, Master Teague, we're going to need 100 out of you. Like, we're averaging 200 yards a game rushing, and you're acting like this is the 2017 Browns team that could barely
not.
put up 40. I mean, the way it sounds like it, and like, once again, Coach Kev, I get it. You expect more out of this team, and
everybody should, because they're Ohio State.
Team is doing what they need to do.
They are a championship contending team.
They're proving it. They gave
Justin Fields has proved that he is that dude.
What would you give?
And those wide receivers
last night. Tell me, what would you grade that game last night? Grade the game.
C.
A C, and they almost put up 50 points against a Big Ten opponent.
Yeah, you're not going to do
50 points, Kevin.
You're not going to win games against the best in the country.
You will. It's a C effort. If you give an A effort, you put up 100. They don't need to put up 100. You can see for coast.
And I'm calling it out now because C average effort becomes an issue if you allow it to continue against teams you know you can get by.
And I'm telling you, if you have Bama on the schedule, it's completely different. Michigan on the schedule, they say Michigan is a below average squad.
Ifs aren't good enough. Ifs aren't good enough. You have who is on your schedule, and if you want to build and actually beat those teams once you get a chance to play them, because this team will only be measured on the college football playoff, not by what they do in the Big Ten. And if they lose a game, it's going to be a big issue. They are going to be measured in the college football playoff. If you continue to play like this because you know you can get by in the Big Ten, play who is on your schedule, dominate them, and prove that you are a number 2 team in the country like I know that you are. This has nothing to do with them. I think that they're a bad team.
Sure.
I think that they have bad habits that are disappointing and frustrating that need to be fixed now, and I have every faith in the world that Ryan Day will do that, but I'm calling it out now because I'm calling it like I see it. I'm not just going to give them rainbows and unicorns and Skittles, as we always say.
Sure.
Not going to give them all the gifts in the world because they beat Rutgers.
Sure.
Beat Rutgers the way you're supposed to. You saw the long lineage of those 6 games where they barely scored maybe 20 points in the closest game for Rutgers. You had them down 35-3. There should not have been any sort of life, any sort of ability for any of those guys to kind of show up and dancing around and hitting my helmet. Well, I'm going to break my hand hitting my helmet. You're not really smart, but still, that none of that should happen. I don't care the circumstance. You're Ohio State. Play like it.
I'm going to say something a little controversial right now. Okay. Are we dealing with Urban Meyer? Or are we dealing with Ryan Day?
Well, he's a disciple of Urban Meyer.
Are we dealing with Urban Meyer, who did have lapses in judgments, Purdue, and what was the other game? I can't remember the other game that really pops in my mind. It wasn't Iowa. It was Virginia Tech. Did we lose? I'm trying to remember. What was the one game? Michigan State. That's what it was. Whenever he didn't run Ezekiel. When he just refused to play Zeke on a game that he should have just given the ball to Zeke 100 times to win that game. That's the year. That was the year after the championship. Thank you. I couldn't remember that. Thank you myself. That's dumb. Anyways, are we dealing with Urban Meyer or are we dealing with Ryan Day? Has Ryan Day given you any concerns dealing with this? We've seen a full season and then some with whenever Urban was gone for those 3 games to start off the year a couple years ago. He didn't give any doubt he is 17-1. The only loss was on a bad call against Clemson and an interception that should have never happened because Chris Olave broke off the route. That is his only loss. He has given you 0 reasons to think that he is not going to have this team up and ready to play at any point in time. This team was up 35-3 at halftime. I literally just told you that at 9 p.m. going into halftime, they coasted. They coasted, and that is something that every team goes through. I don't care if you have Superman on your team. You are going to learn. You are going to you better win the game. I agree with you there. You absolutely need to win that game 35-3, and they did win that game. They coasted because they could. Like every team in America does, they coast every once in a while, especially when you are that good. I gave you the description the other night, and I'm going to finish my end here because we are running way longer than the 5 that I thought it was going to be. But I gave you the description of Ali whenever he faced Chuck Wepner. It literally went into that fight. I'm going to knock him down in the 3rd round. Easy. We might not even get to 3. And Chuck just kept coming back. Ali knew he wasn't going to lose that match. Okay. He kept knocking the crap out of Chuck Wepner, but he did at the end of the fight say, Chuck Wepner is one of the hardest people that he ever fought. Okay. He came out and said that. That being said, this Rutgers team gave up the biggest fight of their entire football program career, and they still lost by 28 points? Something ridiculous. They gave their A++ effort. I'm sorry, I just spit. But they gave their A++ effort, and we gave a C effort, and we still beat them by 28 points or whatever the score was. That's because you can coast. And in certain matchups, you can do that. In others, once again, Bama, Clemson, Notre Dame, any of those top 4 to 6 teams, they're not going to have that mindset. I understand it's a problem for you to look at that from the coaching angle and say, oh, well, we have things to improve on. You're damn right you have things to improve on. But this team is without a doubt a top 2 or 3 team in the nation, and they can beat anyone at any time, anywhere.
They better, because two wrongs don't make a right. Just because everybody coasts to wins when they're playing a bad team doesn't make it right. If you are a pinnacle program in college football or whatever league it is,
are you perfect every day of your life?
I know. This is the conversation that you brought up last night. In what way did I just say that they need to be perfect? I know mistakes are going to happen, but when they are consistent mistakes that should not happen after you've already learned from the first time at Ohio State, I've seen it for 3 games, not just one game, not just one quarter. I've seen these mistakes for 3 games. It is not good enough. They know it. They'll get better, but you can't coast because everybody else coasts. Because guess what? That's how you get beat. That mentality is how you get beat. You wanted me to answer, are we dealing with Urban Meyer or Ryan Day?
Yeah.
My answer, you think, is going to prove your point. We are dealing with Ryan Day. I'm calling out the stuff to make sure that it doesn't turn into Ryan Day becoming Urban Meyer. That's where I'm at. I'm only calling that out and saying it's not all roses and unicorns out there. It's not all great, and yet you're still 3-0, still putting up great numbers. You need to now establish more consistency so that when it comes time for the college football playoff, you are ready to go and you don't have those bad habits be that 1 or 2 plays that cost you a chance at the national championship.
If you want to talk about the defense, I'm all for it. But whenever you bring in the rushing stats or the offensive line play or anything like that, this offensive line is a top 5 line. And like you said, at the end of the year, they probably will be the best.
If you're Ohio State, you should be able to get 1 yard on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. I have seen multiple times where they have not been able to do that and establish that line of scrimmage.
And I've seen
That's
them get
not good enough.
I've seen them get 3rd and 17 countless amounts of times.
You can't count on that, again, because you're going to go up against good teams
whenever you have Ryan Day and Justin Fields. If Justin Fields goes down, the season's over. It's a wrap, okay? This isn't 2015 or 14 or whenever we won the title. That won't happen again. Okay, the magic in the air was all used up back then. If he goes down, 100%, you gotta play without any sort of mental lapses or anything like that. This team, though, has that capability to coast because it has that dude and that coach. And once again, I have seen nothing from Ryan Day to go, you know what, we're dealing with Urban Meyer. We better not, go up with a big lead and then end up losing it at the very end on a weird make crap field goal. Like I'm not worried. Every time I see Ryan Day, I trust him even more. I trust him a little bit more every single day.
Ryan Day is your Miss Jenkins.
A little bit, yeah.
Ryan Day is your Miss Jenkins. It really is.
Like honestly, woo!
Just because you trust a person, you can still be critical of what's going on.
You absolutely can be.
And again, when you play the bad teams,
do you think they're going to have a mental lapse against Maryland this coming up week?
Tagovailoa has been playing well.
That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to have those lapses?
If they do, that's not going. They're going to be punished for those lapses against Maryland. As much as Ohio State is way better than Maryland, and that line will be big.
It's 25 points.
Like I said,
38 was the other day, and I even said on the under for Buckeye Game Day that it was going to be under because once again you coast at that moment in time. 25, actually a doable number against Maryland. Maryland's offense, like you said, to his brother, plays exceptionally, and he has been balling lately. So that's why I'm saying you bring in someone like that you can account for and go, you know what, that guy's a dude too. I think you're going to see a completely different Buckeye team this week.
Just because you can coast doesn't mean you should.
Fair. Okay.
And again, when you're playing bad teams, you work on those situations like 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
You can't just assume if you get a penalty or you don't get that yardage, you get knocked back and you're in that in-between zone and you think that Justin Fields, just like he did against Rutgers, can get 4th and 13 or whatever it may be against the great teams. They'll make you pay for those kind of mental lapses, that 1 or 2 plays again that differentiate you between being a national champion and having that same feeling that you left last year with against Clemson. But we are way over the time.
That's my bad, guys. That is I was hell bent on getting that Ohio State talk in. I really thought we could just bust that out, but that's on me. That's on me, guys. Sorry, Dave. That is
Dave. Right there.
This guy right here.
We're
sorry about that.
Dave, we're still a part of Big Play, right?
Right, please.
Right? But with that, a lot of good conversation. Of course, Cleveland Crunch joining us tonight as well. And reach out to them. And if you have any sort of inkling, wanting to get out there and playing some indoor soccer, being a part of the Cleveland Crunch reincarnation in the city of Cleveland, December 12th and 13th at the North Olmsted Sportsplex. But for Nick Paulus, our producer extraordinaire, Peter Tillip, I'm Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you sports fans out there, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. And we love you all 3,000, especially in such difficult times. We truly love you all 3,000. We will see you all next week after the Browns return from their bye week.